Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Clockedin with me, your host, Jordan Edwards. I'm thrilled to have you tune in as we dive into the dynamic world of productivity, success, and stories of incredible individuals who've mastered the art of getting things done. Whether you're commuting, hitting the gym, or just relaxing at home, this podcast is the go-to source for inspiration and actionable tips to level up your productivity game. I'm on a mission to unravel the secrets of those who seem to effortlessly manage their time and achieve their goals. So if you're ready to clock in and unlock your full potential, you're in the right place. We've got a lineup of amazing guests, industry experts, and thought leaders who will share their insights and strategies to help us crush your to-do list and make the most out of every moment. Get ready to get inspired, motivated, and equipped with the tools you need to supercharge your productivity. This is Clocked In with Jordan Edwards. Let's dive in. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jordan here, host of the Clocked In podcast. And what I wanted to talk about today is intention and the ability to zoom out and zoom in and plan what we want in our lives. So we're going to touch on a couple different things today. The first thing we're going to touch on is what it means to zoom in and zoom out, what it means to really have the intention and the plan and execute. Then we're going to discuss how I do this with my clients through my introduction call. And then the third thing we're going to talk about is how you can apply this to your own life. Now, you can apply all of this throughout the entire podcast, but let's get into it. So, the idea of the zoom in, zoom out is I was meeting with my groups. I have a Monday night group and a Thursday morning group. And what ended up happening was we were having this conversation about whether to focus on the big things or the little things. And what are the big things and the little things? And it really got me thinking because when I spoke to the groups, it really resonated with them the fact that there's so much time that we spend on our day to day routine that we never adjust it. We just view this as our life. Now, because we build our own lives and we're the creators of our own life, especially in America, because of the freedoms we have, you have to get intentional about your life. So the reason you have the job you have, the reason you have the friends you have, the reason you live in the place you have, the reason you do everything you do, the best bagel place, the best sushi place, is all because you at one point decided something. And that could be your parents decided to live in a location and you just decided to not move. And that's a choice. That's still a decision. And what I'm getting at here is that no matter what you do, the things around you become your favorite things or those special spots because that's what you enjoy. That's your go-to thing. So it's important for us to realize that if we ever want to adjust who we are and where we adjust our environment, but we also adjust our intentionality, right? So to give you an example on this, I'll tell you about a time where I was running. I was running a marathon. And I set the intention back in 2019, beginning of 2019, that I really want to run a marathon by the end of the year. So I did all of these things. But if I never had that intentionality and then the accountability to hold myself to it every single week, then I never would have accomplished that goal. A lot of us say stuff, but we don't hold ourselves to it, right? So once we get the habit down, then we're allowed to see the compounding of how good we'll get. And what they say is in 20 hours, you can develop a skill. In 100 hours, 100 hours a year, you'd be better than 95% of the other people participating in. And once you get 10,000 hours in a specific skill set, then you become a master. And what I'm getting at here is that you have to get intentional about the life you want to create. Life is fragile and it's not going to last forever. Everybody dies. So, since that's true, don't you think it's good to take inventory of what you want to do and where you want to allocate your time? So, the whole point of the zoom in, zoom out is the zoom out is me sitting there in 2019 going, I think a marathon would be a great idea. The zoom in is me taking the action steps each and every week, running the miles to build up my cardiovascular strength so that I can run the marathon on said day. So what I'm getting at is, when was the last time you zoomed out? When was the last time you adjusted your plane? When was the last time you changed up what direction you're going in? How often do you do this? Do you do this unintentionally, or do you just live life and let life flow? Either or, I believe at Edwards Consulting that if you're intentional about your life, you can really create something great. So let's get into that a little bit more. And the way I do this with clients is we start off with a 5-year vision. We start off in this intro call, we go into a 5-year vision, and we spend a ton of time there because we dive in deep on what they would love their life to look like if it was up to them. Because the truth is, most of us as kids, we dream way more than we do as adults. The amount of adults that I see that have just lost their dreaming ability is astonishing. It's incredible. Most people don't care at all. They just live their life and that's the way they're going to live, and that's cool. But here, if you want to get intentional about your life and you want to build something amazing, you got to be intentional. You got to be decisive, and you got to be zooming out every so often so you can adjust the plan to see what's working, what's not working. So we start off with a 5-year vision and we go deep with people. We talk about what they want their life to be, what it would look like, what it would feel like, and what intangibles would be in there. So if we're doing a 5-year session, I would sit there now, and if I was the audience, I would pause this and write down, what do you want in 5 years? What do you want to see? What experiences do you want to have? Where do you want to travel? Who do you want to be around? What kind of assets do you want to have? What kind of relationships do you want to have? What kind of experiences do you want to have? What, how much money do you want in the bank account? What do you want to be doing? And these are all super important questions so that we can sit there and figure out what it is. So let's use the example. In 5 years, I want to travel to 20 different countries, right? Then we do a drop down to 1 year. And we say, in 1 year, what would be manageable inside of that 20 countries? Well, maybe if I went to 4 different countries, how could I go to 4 different countries? Well, maybe if I took a cruise and the cruise went to 4 different countries, I could do that. One, maybe I could fly to South America. Maybe I could fly to Asia. Maybe I can fly to Europe, where it's all very close and accessible, and I can jump around to different countries that way. Whatever it is, I know that to stay on track, I need to have 4 out of the 20 done a year to get 20 done in the year. So it's important to say that, because if we're not working on that goal, then we're not going to take the proper steps to get there. Another example of this would be, I want to save up $100,000 in 5 years. Okay, well, to do that, you would theoretically have to save $20,000 a year. Kinda. Let's do that and say you don't compound any of the money. But if you compound the money, you'd actually have to save less. So the way to do that, you would just do 20,000 divided by 12, which would be like, I think 1,700. If you did $1,700 a month into an investment account, you'd probably even be able to do it even quicker with a lower amount. But these are the things you have to break down the steps into actionable things, right? So basically what I do is we take the 5-year vision and then we break it down to a 1-year vision. And we just basically chop them all up in 1/4, or what is manageable today. What can we do? Then we visualize it. We close our eyes and we visualize the 5-year vision. We visualize the 1-year vision and see the growth that we're having. The next part is that we talk about the 5 pillars. So the 5 pillars of Edwards Consulting are mental health, physical health, community service philanthropy, spirituality, and relationships. And the reason I believe in that is because I think if all 5 of these are at peak state, then you are excelling in life. I don't think life is just revolving around how much money do I have. It's not revolving around, am I sitting on a beach? Do I have my purpose? Like, it revolves around you living the life you want to do with the people you want to do, and making all the experiences possible for others as well. So when we look at this, what we end up doing across the five pillars is we see where you're at today. So what is mental health? And what that might be is like, what's your mental health like today? So you record this, you're listening to this podcast. What today is your mental health? And you write down a few reasons why. Then you write down what a 10 looks like. And the reason for that is so that you can see where you're at versus where you're going, right? So you can see where you're at today and then where you want to go. Because what I found, a lot of us don't set gauges for what success looks like. And when we get that question, we're always like, I'd love to lose more weight. I don't even know what that means. Like, do you want to lose 1 pound? Then just don't eat. Like, you know what I mean? We're so vague about all of our goals that it causes us to not know which direction we are going. We have an incredible brain, we have an incredible mindset, and we just have to go after that and attack that, right? To understand what we really want to accomplish. Then we do it with physical health and we do it with community service philanthropy. And it's okay. You might be at a zero in all of these, and that's cool. Either way, you might just maybe going outside and donating to an organization or buying the homeless guy food or something. Like these are all very good ways of going about this. And then it's spirituality. So that could be whatever you want it to be. It's not saying go be religious. It's not saying go be anything. It's saying that there's a spiritual component to life. And it's how do you relate with that? And then it's relationships. And that can be business relationships, your marital relationships, your spouse relationships, your friends, your family, whatever you want it to be. And it's how do you really want to improve those? Because without focus and without measuring and monitoring these things, everything's just going to slide and we're going to let it fall. And that's an issue as well because it's so important for us to get the most out of life, we have to be able to take intentionality and really zoom out, like I was saying. And that's what the importance of this meeting is, because it lets you zoom out and really see what you want to accomplish and what you want to do. Then what you do is you come up with 3 to 5 12-week goals. So you come up with goals that you would accomplish in the next 3 months. And those would be goals, and you would learn from what you've written down already, some of your 1 year goals, some of your 5 year goals. You come down and you see what can I do in 12 weeks? And maybe we're going to use the two examples of the one with the marathon, and we're going to use the example of the saving the money. So say I want to save the money, we at 100,000, that we're doing 20,000 a year. And then if we're gonna look at the 3 months, okay, if it's 20,000 a year, I need to save 5 grand. How am I gonna save 5 grand? Maybe I'm gonna go make an extra 5 grand, but my goal would be 5 grand, right? And then you start breaking that down divided by 12. So that's an extra, what is that? 600? 5 grand. No, it's even less than that. It's 400. I'm doing the math real time and I don't have the calculator out, but it'd be right around $400 a week. So 420, but 410. I think it would be 420 a week. So basically what you would do is you would take down then on so basically you have your 12-week vision and maybe it's 5,000 in savings, whatever. Then you bring it down to a weekly goal. And now it's 420 a week. So you have to figure out what do I need to do 420 a week? Does that mean that you have to go Uber drive? Does that mean that you have to cut off your random expenses? Does that mean that you have to invest? What do you need to do to get 420 a week? And that is how we break down goals. Because if they're not measurable, if they're not measurable, they're not being managed. There's no way to improve that. So the key is to measure and monitor what you're doing. And when you write it all down, it becomes important. It becomes real because there's so many times in our life where we just sit there and go, man, that would be awesome. Like, wouldn't that be amazing? And it's like, no, like no, don't dream about it. Take action and do that. Like if you want to have a beautiful space, figure out what beautiful questions you have to ask yourself. Like you have to get intentional about every single thing you do. Otherwise, you're just going to be going off the regular system that you know, and it doesn't always work. So it's how do you get intentional with your life? So that is one way that I do frequently with clients and with myself to see if I'm on the proper path and setting goals in just in general. Because the thing is, we need to have a vision. We need to know what the action is each week to move the needle towards that. And then the key for all of that is once you do that, you have to hold yourself accountable every single week. And that's why I have groups. So I have groups where we hold each other account, where I hold people accountable by what they say. I do one-on-one coaching as well, so I can help you through that entire process and cause you to think a little bit differently. But in reality, it the only thing we really need is to have the proper perspectives, right? So if I gave two people that sheet, one person's like, woe is me, I'm a victim, like I'm never gonna accomplish this, and the other person's like, I'm kicking ass in the world, I'm taking names, I'm gonna be doing this, this, and this. I'm sure there are gonna be very different answers for what they see their life in 5 years. Like, for example, for myself, like I recently traveled for 7 weeks in Europe. Like you best believe another trip like that is going to be on my thing. Where if you get someone who doesn't really travel at all, they're like, I would love to go on a 3 day trip like once a quarter. That'd be amazing. And that's cool too. Everyone has their own thing that's amazing to them. But the point is here is that you have to get super intentional about your life. To build anything great, it does not start with hey, maybe I'll stumble into this. No, you have to get intentional. So that's my cry and my call to you guys today is that I know that I can help you guys. I know that this can provide value. Now, you can work with me or you can do it on your own, but you have to get intentional about the life you want to create, regardless if it's with me or with not. And if you reach out to me, I'll even send you the sheet. I don't care. You can totally have the sheet. I'll also offer you a complimentary coaching call where we can sit down and talk about this kind of stuff and see what you have for the vision of your life. I just know that you'll get immense value from getting intentional with where you want to go. The other major tip that I'm not sure if I mentioned here is when you're going through these activities, sometimes we set big goals, which is great. But some of those goals come down to things like, they come down to things like, let's let's buy a second home or let's do something along those lines. And that's an incredible goal. But like, what's the underlying value of that? And when I think about that, I realize that that underlying value is really you want to have a few weekends a year where you bring together your family for an incredible experience. Awesome. Say the home you're looking at is $1 million or 500,000. Doesn't really matter. But say the home you're looking for is a good amount. What you can do to simulate that same activity is you could just go rent a cabin or rent the same experience, rent the beach house, rent the mountain house, rent the European villa, whatever it is, whatever your dream of doing it is, and taste it. What I mean by that is do a sample of it because you'll get it at a significantly less cost than purchasing it yourself. And you'll see if that's something you really want to do. So I always stress test all my goals because what's the point of going down the goal if it's not what you really want to do? You know what I'm saying? So you have to sit there and at least give it a give it a good college try, give it a chance. But that at least allows you to not have to delay the gratification for so many years and you can taste it. So I want to make it a point here that you're tasting your goals and you're tasting your visions and tasting those experiences. So I hope you guys got immense value from this. If you guys want the sheet or you want a complimentary coaching call, just shoot me an email at jordan@edwards.consulting. And I can't wait to help you soon. Keep clocking in and we'll talk very soon. Peace. Thank you for reaching the end of the podcast. For that, we'll give you a complimentary coaching session in the link below with Edwards Consulting. Hope to see you there and have a great day and keep clocking in.